Okay, więc zaczynamy. Hi, I'm Kasia Iwańska, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about how to be a responsible front-end developer. Just as a very basic beginning, I would like you to know that this will be held in English, but if you are not okay with English, you can talk or ask questions in the chat window in Polish. And also, if you have any questions or comments during the presentation, just use chat. It would be really nice to have some conversation there. I've already give this kind of presentation twice. Once with a little bit different scope of information, and once on KrakowConf.js 1 month ago. So this is not the first time, but I hope it will be very interesting for you, and let's do it. Okay, so I'm, as I said, Kasia. I work as a front-end developer in Netguru. And I'm giving yourself a little talk about me first, because I want you to know why I'm suitable person to talk about UX and front-end development in one presentation. So for 4 years before becoming a developer, I worked as a UI UX designer. I work with lots of companies, different kinds, NGOs, commercial ones, and cultural public institutions also. So I'm kind of been there, done that in this experience. And for me, it was always very important to create a design that is user-centered. But again, as I said, I changed jobs, and from 1.5 years, I'm a front-end developer. And I have this feeling that sometimes we create environment for ourselves that we only we want to only be responsible for developing what we already got, and the weight of UX design is not on us, and UX user experience at all. It's not on us because it's always connected to how it was designed, and we are just implementing this design. I'm totally opposed what I said just now. I think it's on us all the time, and this is why I want to give you this presentation, for you to take responsibility for the user experience of apps and products, websites you create. One disclaimer, I work mainly with React and with online web apps. So most of my use cases or scenarios or examples will be connected to that, but you can easily translate this kind of information to to every other framework or every other product that is online. So what should we say are basic challenges when creating a web application that are connected to user experience? Performance, because whenever app crashes, our user thinks that something is not good here and he will not trust this kind of product. Interactivity, because always, and this is really important, user has to always know a state of application he is going through and state of action he is going through that he started, and also reliability. So let's say you see a little bug in a view that is not connected to a functionality of application at all. But if you see it you will remember it, and throughout the whole process of using this application, you will remember somewhere in the back of your head that this app is not really reliable because something is bugged here. So we have to really put weight on this kind of bugs and problems. These three challenges, performance, interactivity, and reliability, are all very connected to the code we wrote. It's not design's job, or it's not their responsibility to create fast, communicative, and reliable app. User-friendly apps should feel native, indicate the current state at all time, and handle errors properly. So let's go through basic things to remember. And first, I will tell you about around 10 really basic stuff to remember that are going to help your user experience of the user experience of your application. And then I will talk a little bit more about future and why we should be responsible for the user experience, and how to think in a different way when creating a product. So the very basic stuff. Style all the actions of user interact. Style where active, focus, disabled. Use normalize or use popular frameworks, whatever you like. I know this is very basic. I know you can be very well, curious, I would say right now. Why would I say something like this? But you won't believe on how many pages, web pages, or how many web applications we can't see this. And this is like super important, super easy to remember. If you don't have time to create your own style guide, just use the one there is. There are lots of them, and just do that. No off-screen UI rule. This is important, and this is on us also, because let's imagine a situation like this. On the left, we have a basic design, and we have two different account types. Whenever we go into app, we should choose who are we on who as which role we want to create account. But during the development and the, I don't know, deploy of the application, client wants us to add two different roles. Let's say it's nurse and guardian, whatever it would be. We add it to the view we already had, because it's kind of obvious how to put two different roles here. But during this time, our login button that on the left is very centered and easily seen in the place bottom right corner that every next step CTA should be, it's not there anymore. And this is just normal situation when we implement design and something is a little bit missing, but something that is super important. Whenever you can, you should talk to your designer. Is this okay? Discuss with them what to do in this kind of situation and so on. Just remember that everything that user will interact with should be on screen. Error handling, another really important topic connected to the interactivity. So whenever something is going wrong in your app, users should know about it. It's important to have consistent alert design. So if we have two different models, or one only seen on like for 5 seconds and the other one for 7 seconds, user will know the difference. I mean, okay, he will or she will not know it, but she will feel it, and it will be bad for your reliability. It's really important to handle multiple errors, and it's really important to write very specific error messages. I think 1 week ago in our project team, we had this very funny discussion, and somehow somebody said that it's okay to give the user as little information as he or she needs, because we should just, it's not important for them which kind of error it's happening. They just have to know that something went wrong. Well, it's the opposite. It's not enough that something went wrong. They should always know what kind of error they're coming through and what can they do to go around it. You should always remember to use very basic and known design for the error. I know it's really boring to always style everything successful with green and everything dangerous with orange, but it's really something that users are well, they understand it, so why change it? Whenever you use promises, you should always remember to catch your errors, but not only catch them and console log them or whatever, but please create, for example, in React, you can create a very simple action that will always create a flash message in the, for example, bottom left corner. And in the catch, you can always create a simple function that will show as a flash message error that came from backend. If you create really good backend errors, and that's like obvious to do because you have to understand for yourself what's going on, then it will be just better for the user, and you will have always you will be always sure that you will the user will know what's going on. Next thing, fetching crucial data first. Oh, I'm sorry, this is my fetching crucial data first. So it's really important for performance, for a feeling that our app actually works faster than it really works. You can create API for different blocks of information, not for the whole page. For example, in this view, the first thing I would think of when implementing this, just fetch all the informations that are in the table, then create some kind of summary of them, and with very nice library like D3DS or something like that, create cool diagrams. But what if we would put the logic to create or actually count summaries of the table into backend, and first fetch only this few little numbers that that are needed for the diagrams, and then fetch the whole table. It would be super faster, and this would be great. So whenever you can, whenever there is a log type of situation and you have a specific text and then comments, just remember to first fetch the text and then the comments. Never fetch this on the same API call. Constructive validation. It's also connected to interactivity, and it's also super important. Well, this is the time not, that I would normally tell a story, but I will not tell a story today, but I will briefly say about problems I've encountered around validation. So there was a situation that we had very complicated form, and first the validation was done in a way that the button was not clickable. For the button under the form was not clickable until the form was valid. And of course, every little input has its own validation and error message and stuff like that. But we change it to a way that it's more like, it's not, you wouldn't say on the very first thing that it's now better, but to construct a validation that is consistent with backend validation, we had to dump this idea and create a validation that is first on front end, then with submitting, it goes through backend, and then if something is wrong from backend side, we create, we give the error messages in the front-end validation fields, not in the flash message, for example. So if there is something wrong with the form, the user will always know it from the form, not from any other error handling place in the app. These are specific use cases, but you have to remember that every form validation is a very important place for your user. If there is anything wrong there, anything buggy, he will not trust you enough to give you his data, and probably you need that. So spinners, progress bars, fake content. Whenever this is, I've put this under interactivity, but this is also connected to performance, of course. Whenever the application is updating or changing views or changing state, you should always know about it. You should always have it in a one variable that is seen throughout the whole application, and create behavior by showing the changing state. For example, one app that does this right, it's a Slack. We all love it. They use everything, right? I've talked about spinners, progress bars, and fake content, and on this one view, you can see two of them, but they have progress bar before screen. So, yeah. I know it's not really easy. I mean, with progress bars and spinners, it's kind of easy, but fake content is, you have to work for it. So I just wanted you to know that a friend of mine from Netguru, Michał Sajnuk, is working on a very cool open source library. It's now only for Ember, but we are changing. We are working on it. And if you don't like creating fake content for yourself, you can just add this to your stack, and this will be really, really useful. Progressive image loading. So there are two different types of progressiveness in images. First is just progressive JPEGs, and what you normally would see as a JPEG, it's under the B example. So JPEGs create itself as a line going through the left to the bottom, of course. But if we render our JPEG as a progressive JPEG, sorry, we would have a picture that renders itself from the bad quality to the top quality. It's great. You can do it just while saving the image in your editor, or you can create a simple library. I mean, I use simple library to save all your JPEGs as progressive ones. But there is a kind of cool another situation that Medium uses it. I will not go into details how to do it because there is a great article about that on Medium. So just go and read it. But what they are doing is they create a div with a blurred picture in it, and it's really low quality. It's like, I think it's like 5% of normal wave of the JPEG, and this is what they are putting in the layout. And then when everything else is fetched, they are putting the normal image. So the content just is seen faster for the user side. Google does the same on image search, just with simple div with one color of the image. Smart responsible design. So responsive design is not only about fitting all the smaller screens, but it's what I said on the very beginning. It's about feeling native. Funny picture for you there. What is really important with the responsiveness, it's to create a layout that everything is easily seen and touched or navigated through on the very small screen. So it's not only about how you see things, but how the user navigate through them. One thing to do that, not for the navigation so much, but for the view. I know it's really, I know that the topic of the responsiveness is sometimes really boring, because there is so much to do. We should create so many breakpoints, and it's just exhausting, right? And you can do a lot to make it easier for you, and then to put your time into things that really matters. So navigation. To have this time, you can use fluid typography. It has really wide browse support already. And what it does, well, I'm sorry I can't show you here on the GIF, but it's just this simple calc you can see here. And this will create a font that will change its size between 16 pixels and 22 pixels, accordingly to the width of the screen. It's all in CSS, as you can see, so it's not bad for performance, and it's very, very cool. Check it out. Again, about the navigation. You have to always remember about touch gestures. Just whenever you test on mobile, test also with them. And well, there is not much to say about it because it's a lot of work, but we have to do this. Smooth animations. This is connected to reliability, what I said on the very beginning. If your animation is a little bit buggy or doesn't perform well, user won't trust your product. Use only specific CSS rules. Animate only position, scale, rotation, or opacity. Never animate width, height, or margins. I know it's obvious, but there are so many web apps that we still animates width and heights that I felt like I should just say this out loud one more time. Preload fonts. That's something cool. How many people here know what's preload or use it already? Well, we will see at the end, I hope. Preload. I really like Ben Schwartz. He's responsible for the Calibre app. Maybe you know it. I will go back to him later, but what he said is, I cannot believe that it's 2017 and we still have to wait for text to render. Don't you? Right? Isn't this like right? This is really, really important and amazing. They still haven't figured out how to just put text there. Very simple, very fast, and then create everything else. Preload does it for you. Unfortunately, it's not supported throughout all the browsers yet, but it won't mess anything up. So just use it whenever you can. What it does, it preloads your fonts with the CSS. So as you can see, you will have fonts whenever your CSS file will be ready. Now, actually, web fonts are not. I don't think this is a problem. I mean, well, we can discuss this, guys, after the presentation. I'm happy with it. And the future is now. I would like to talk to you for, I think, 5 to 10 more minutes about how to test and how to think about our users. Why should we be responsible for them, and why shouldn't we just, if it works on our side, for sure it will work on their side, right? Smart speed test. Test for the next billion. The next billion is a description created by Ali Long, but well, not just by her, but she gave a really nice talk, field tested interfaces for the next billion. You should really check it out. And she's a UX designer who was invited to create a, if I remember correctly, it was a medical app for Nigeria, I think. For people who works in NGOs and small public medic places, you can't really call it hospitals or anything else. She went there and she tested, I mean, research who will be the users. The next billion is a phrase that describes people who will join the online world in the next year or so. There is a lot of people who are still not online, and these are people who will be our clients soon. And I know this sounds really high level, and if we in our normal basic life, day-to-day life, we don't really feel that way, because I, for example, work on a application that is created specifically for managers and HR specialists in US and States. And I don't really feel connected to the next billion group, but you can't put, in this way, you can put your responsibility back and on the shelf. And it's not good, because what we create today would be really nice if it worked in 1 year, right? Or 2 years. And in 1 or 2 years, everything can change. And our users can be totally different people. I hope they will, because I hope that they will be change in the society, and everybody who wants it will be online. So if you want that too, you have to remember that performance is really important. The next billion generation, or group, as you want to say, describe it, works on a very bad phones and very bad equipment on a very low signal. So whenever you create a project, this is from Ben Schwartz again, performance. Whenever you create project, you think about performance somewhere on the end, like, okay, we did it, there is this great app, it's beautiful, it works perfectly. And somebody says, but is it fast enough? And you create tests. Now you go to Google Lightroom and so on. And then you see that something is not optimized enough. Okay, we will optimize pictures and stuff, and it will be good to go. This is not how it should go. Whenever there is a project, throughout the whole project timeline, you should think about the performance. This should be the very basic stuff. And it's really important for me to say it here, because it's only on us. I mean, designers or product owners, they won't know about it until there will be a lot of users and they will see that something is crashing. We are the ones when deciding about the stack and so on, we are the one who create this. There is this great app, Calibre, by Ben Schwartz. Whenever you can, you should use it. He created, again, not really he created, but he implemented in this app lots of different new metrics definitions, like first paint, first contentful paint, first meaningful paint, and visually complete, and also interactive able or something like that. Get to know this. I will talk about only one, first meaningful paint, but they are all very powerful definitions. First meaningful paint is essentially the paint after which the biggest above default layout change has happened and web fonts have loaded. So let's go through this picture. And this is by Patrick Hamann from a presentation he gave on Frontend in this year. What he did is he tested Financial Times, and he tested it on the very basic web speed and very basic phone. first meaningful paint is whenever everything that's on the screen is loaded. So as you can see, there is a very small part of picture there on the very bottom of the page, but to be sure that it's that we can say that first meaningful paint was happened, that the part of it should also be there. Okay, so in the first test, first meaningful paint, user had to wait 6.5 seconds for it. Patrick Hamann, with very few techniques that are really strange and you won't like it. It's like putting part of CSS inline in the HTML and stuff like that, or pushing your fonts from server with force push. But with this kind of things, he could go down from 6.5 to 3.5 seconds. That's huge. Check it out. Another is from my experience future, and we should all start learning about it right now. It's progressive. I know it's not supported yet, and I know it's still Apple's decision if it will be a common thing. But I do really believe that it's actually our decision. It will make it really well hearable that we want it. They will have to just kneel and give it to us. So, what are progressive web apps? They are the biggest thing to happen to the mobile web since the iPhone, said Henrik Jordan. Actually, I don't think they are, but he's a really cool guy who tells why progressive web apps are important not only for us right now as a cool technology and fuzzy keyword that we can use and implement, but for a 12 years old girl in Nairobi that can be the next Mark Zuckerberg if we give her the stuff she needs. So check this presentation out and remember that progressive web apps are reliable, they load instantly and never show the down zone, even in uncertain network conditions. They are fast, they respond quickly to user interactions with silky smooth animations and no junky scrolling, and they are engaging. They feel like a natural app with an immersive user experience on the device. These are very free challenges that we talked about on the very beginning. So I hope this technology will be there sooner than later. This is all from me now. Yeah, thank you very much. These are my contacts. If you have any questions right now, please ask on the chat and we will answer. And of course, I should say we are hiring at Netguru. So if you are this kind of developer that is thinking about user experience and is responsible for it during the implementation of designs, please just ask away now or give us a call or my email later. I will wait now for, let's say, 30 seconds or 40 seconds for a question. And if nobody has any, we will say goodbye to each other. Thanks. Thank you too. Okay, guys. Not to be I don't want to kill this party, but let's do it. Thank you very much. You will get an email with the presentation tomorrow. I hope you liked it a lot. If you have any comments, please shout it out in the email, on the Twitter, wherever it's okay for you. See you. Thank you, and bye.